Okay, go.
Alright, so today I want to be really clear about what we're doing and give a little bit of context to why we're doing what we're doing today. We have some historical context that is offered by our friends who have been organizing in Ohio prisons since the 80s. For example, one of our friends, Sadiq Abdullah Hassan, got a punitive transfer for praying on the yard. He's a Muslim, and there was no Muslim programming at the prison at the time. And he organized some people to just do the afternoon prayer out on the yard, right next to a large gathering of Christians who were doing their little prayer circle. And they were all, locked down, shipped out, transferred to other prisons, and split up. That transfer sent him to the Southern Ohio Correctional Facility, which is in Lucasville, where the conditions there were really, really terrible. The human rights violations, there were many human rights violations, and people organized to do a petition to Amnesty International to raise awareness of those human rights violations. And the prison responded by confiscating and destroying the petition and treating the people who were circulating it as an illegal gang. These abuses continued and conditions worsened at that prison until 1993, when a nonviolent demonstration that Hassan had organized erupted into a riot and a full-scale uprising. They occupied a full block of the prison for 11 days. Afterwards, the state condemned to death the people who were most important and instrumental in negotiating a peaceful surrender, ending that uprising, including our friend Sadiq Abdullah Hassan. A more recent and national context for what we're talking about and doing here today. In Georgia, last year, thousands of prisoners in prisons all across the state coordinated a lockdown strike. It was the largest prison strike in U.S. history, and it was completely nonviolent. They just sat in their cells, refused to get up and do basically work for the prison and participate in their own repression. In response, the state of Georgia lied, destroyed people's properties, did humiliating strip searches in front of the other prisoners, and beat people. At least one man was hospitalized, and his family was not given any notice until days afterward that he was transferred out of the prison to go to the hospital. In California, where prisons are at over 180% capacity, thousands of people have been on rolling hunger strikes since last July. And the state let them go hungry for 3 weeks before listening to their demands at all, and is now dragging its feet and just paying lip service to the things that they were asking for. Their demands are completely reasonable. It's like, don't force us to snitch, don't hold us in solitary confinement indefinitely, give us nutritious food, like very basic things. And since then, in Pelican Bay, 3 people have been found hanging in their cells. These are allegedly suicides, but they're suicides that are caused by harassment and abuse and the hopelessness of their situation and years spent in isolation in intolerable conditions. In Corcoran Prison, which is also in California, the hunger strike has continued on and off throughout that time, and family members and supporters have been denied access and information about what the prisoners inside are doing. One hunger striking prisoner has died. The state claims we have to wait for an autopsy to determine the cause of his death, because we don't know if he was on hunger strike at the time, because they denied us access to that information. But it's clear that he starved to death on a hunger strike in America, and that was allowed to happen. So this is disgusting and enraging. The prison system in America is run by murderers and liars. And today, we're here to deliver polite letters to some politicians and officials who are involved in maintaining that system. But want to make it clear that while we're being polite and we're doing everything properly, we're fucking pissed off. Because in Columbus, we know that if you go out and you make an honest expression of how you feel about the state of the world and the situation, our friends, who we talked to earlier, who have, guns on their belts and chains, are going to take you to a jail cell. So today we're here, we're going to demonstrate, and we're going to ask their permission, and we're going to express ourselves on their terms, and we're going to demonstrate what happens when you do that. So be prepared for the anticlimax. More context for today. Nationwide in Denver, Oakland, New York, and many other cities where people are stronger and they're more numerous, they're more able to demonstrate on their own terms and honestly express how they feel about the prison system that we live under. So watch the news, find out what they've been doing in other places. Also today at Ohio State Penitentiary, our friend who I was talking about earlier, Sadiq Abdullah Hassan, he's the guy who was transferred for praying on the yard. He negotiated surrender at the end of the Lucasville uprising. Still today, he is struggling and resisting from death row at Ohio State Penitentiary. He's organized at least 20 people to refuse their meals on a one-day fast today. Now, we don't know what's going on at Ohio State Penitentiary right now. We do know that guards will respond to nonviolent protests like this with violence. So we don't know whether or not our friends are being gassed in their cells, whether they're being shot with pellet guns, or whether they're facing down 5 goons in body armor who are going to extract them from their cells. We don't know what's happening, but it's entirely possible that our friends are subject to such abuses at this moment right now. So, yeah, let's go deliver some polite letters.